Welcome to another day of How to ABL. Today is 9/16/2023, and it is Snare season. We are using Open Day, so we can pretty much use any team that we want. The meta for today is debatable, but it's either Jean or Luna, as long as you have them tier 4. Both characters work fantastic, so use who you want, and there are definitely different team-up options, which we'll talk about after I show you both rotations in use. Each character, Jean Grey and Luna, can use a Rage, a Judgment, or an Anger proc, but for some reason with ABL specifically, it seems like the Rage will penetrate Searcher's defenses or dodges a little bit better, so you do see people scoring a little bit more with a Rage. Just keep that in mind. I tend to score more with my Jean Grey, so I'm going to show Jean Grey first. I'm basically spamming all the skills and putting a slight delay on 5, 3, and 1. Even her tier 3 ability. I do not wait for the wings to pop. I instantly cancel it, and I do score more. A former member of my alliance, Matanner, actually mentioned, hey, if you instantly cancel the tier 3, you'll score more. I tried it, and I've been scoring more, so I've kept with it. The difference in the score is not huge, though, so if you really want to let your tier 3 play out, that's up to you. All right, let's go ahead and show this in action, shall we? I'm going to switch right to Jean. Doesn't matter the order, but I like to do a 4, 2, 1, 5 for a second, 3 for a second, 7. And I missed the 2 there. That's why you heard me say... I'm sorry, I missed the 1 there, even though you heard me say 1 and I didn't actually pop it off. Keep in mind that if there are enemies around, your 2 will take you away from Searcher to attack the enemies. So sometimes you might want to slightly delay 2 just to make sure that you can pop a skill right after it. All right, with the 1 here, we want to make sure that his sword is raised in the air right about now to pop that 1 to do that cancel. There we go. That's when the snare comes in. You can cancel with 6 or 1. That's what the little green thumb up is for. It's nice that they added that for players who are like, oh, what can I cancel with? So now you know. You know from the game itself. You'll notice here I'm trying to use the skills as quickly as possible. If you can end with a 5 or a 3, that can give you that little half-second delay by having it at the end. You do a little bit more by delaying those, but it's not sizable, in my opinion, from what I've observed. Alright, so there is Oathn Force. Make sure you are getting those orbs as they drop. Pay attention to where they drop. You just look for that beam of light. Turning your graphics down can help, especially with a character like Jean, who can lag both emulators like I'm using as well as your phones. So be aware of that and be careful. Alright, so there's an orb right there. We got it. Go right back to spamming. And you'll see, yeah, I'm really taking that 6 and instantly canceling it. There is a very short cooldown on 1, so I do not save that, because by the time he becomes untargetable and comes to the center, my 1 is ready again. See, look at this. 1 is already ready again. As soon as he is targetable, I'll start popping the other skills. His sword gets raised, pop your 1. There's the cancel. We got both cancels off, and now we're going to continue. And we will talk about these team-ups. We'll talk about alternate teams and all this kind of crazy stuff. There's the orb. Getting struck, if you get hit, it actually decreases your score. And it's very hard to avoid getting hit, especially with all this stuff going on. So just be aware with random spam characters, your score is going to vary. So you will see variances in how much you score even from run to run. All right, last amplification here from Oathn Force. Some people like to wait to use the 6 until Oathn Force pops. I don't like to do that personally, just because if I end up waiting, I end up throwing off my rhythm. But keep in mind that you could attempt to do that. I do consistently score about 10 million on average with my Jean today. It's not the best score in the world, but one of the things that my account is lacking is Pierce. And don't worry, we're going to do a quick run with Luna. I will briefly explain her rotation, and then I will speed up the video, so you don't have to sit through the whole thing. But yeah, 10.2 million. I mean, that's not bad. Let me write that down. We'll compare that. 10241771. So let me do a quick Luna Snow run, a tier 4 Luna Snow with a Rage, and then I'm going to show you how my account's built, and we'll talk about some additional options. So let me clip the video and jump forward to the Luna Snow portion, okay? All right, now to Luna Snow. I'll briefly talk about the rotation, show you it in action, and like I said, I'll speed up a portion of this video since you just sat through Jean Grey. So Luna Snow also has a Rage. Basically, what you want to do is spam everything, but you want to slightly delay 3. one person actually pointed out that if you wait until she points at the sky, that's delaying 3 enough. The main thing you want is for the ice to fall. So by pointing at the sky, it's like a slight delay. Everything else is instantly cancelable. Just spam everything else. I like to try to keep 5, 4 together before 3, and then everything else, as soon as it's ready, I hit it. So let me go ahead and show you that in action, and we'll talk more after. All right, switching to Luna, running up. I'm going to go 5, 4, 3. Notice she can cancel with her 5. Go ahead and use that co-op. Spamming the 1, 2, as soon as they're ready. Okay, he's far away. 5, 7, 3, 6 right away. 1, 2. Just start spamming these skills. Spam, spam, spam. 5, 4, 3, 1. There's 2, 7, 1. He's going to jump center. As soon as he raises his sword, so before he raises his sword, I'm going to do a 1, 2, 5, 4, 3. There's the cancel. You want to use 5 as soon as he's targetable, or as soon as he raises his sword at the very least, because the cancel comes on quick. The cancel doesn't come on quick. The cancel comes on late in the skill for that snare, so you want to make sure there's enough time for the snare to pop. All right, I'm going to speed up the rest of this video. You get the idea. All right, and as you can see, I score more with my Jean Grey. I think I have some theories on why I do that. I think it is very debatable if Luna's better, Jean Grey is better. Both are fantastic options. So let's go ahead and talk about my account. I'll talk about my character builds, and I'll talk about team options, and then different reasons of why you might choose one lead or one support versus another. So to begin with, let me go ahead and go to my cards. If you want to pause it, you can. The biggest thing I'll point out here is that the additional Pierce, you want that at 25%. It does affect your ABL score. Mine's at 16 because I'm still trying to roll my cards properly. These are my X swords. Again, pause it if you want to read it in details. I just want to show you what sort of bonuses and buffs I'm getting from my things that affect the whole account. Now, let's look at Jean first. So here's the overall details with Jean. As you can see, I'm overcapped on a lot of stuff. I could get the movement speed up and the attack speed up, but they're close enough to being capped that it's not hurting that much. I also have all of the things amplified with some Odin's Blessings for her. If you're going to equip Uru, as always, make sure your Uru are at least 5 stars. I use Thor for the Striker. I had to switch to Adam to put Thor on Luna, but pretty much you're going to want to use Thor for the most part. If you're not using the Striker to cancel with, both Jean and Luna can cancel on their own. Thor has a tendency to have a really big area clear, and elemental damage seems to do really well in ABL. So that's usually why I use Thor. Not to mention my Thor specifically is a tier 4 with a rage, so having your Striker built also helps when they come in for striking as well. Just something to keep in mind. ISO 8 set, I've got an overdrive. Remember, any of the attack sets are fine. Just make sure there's 6 red stars so you can get the most out of your attack sets. I've got Order +7 as the artifact. Custom Gear is a brilliant rage. It is enraged. It is rolled up to a 1.2%. Uniform is a mythic. You want the Dark Phoenix uniform, of course. And then really quick, these are the uniform options. I'm just going to go through them really quick. You can pause the screen if you want to read them, but you can also look them up online, just showing you everything in one spot. Let's look at Luna, and then we'll talk about team-ups and why I chose who I wanted to. So Luna Snow needs the Summer Lilac uniform. If you don't have the Summer Lilac uniform, Light Sirius is okay as long as she is tier 4. Summer Lilac is far better. I know it's a paywall uniform, but it is a fantastic uniform. Here are her uniform options real quick. All right, here is her overall build. Everything's capped. Everything's amplified for her gear. I do have Odin's Blessings on her as well. ISO 8 set, I have a Power of the Angry Hulk on her. Artifact, she has her own custom artifact, and she does do more damage with cold resist with her artifact. It's only a 3-star artifact at a +6, but it does help, and it is an instinct match. You can see Justice is highlighted in purple because it matches her instinct as well. Custom gear, she also has a Brilliant Rage. Now, here's the thing I think is hurting her score a little bit. I have All Attack instead of Enraged. I feel like Enraged does better for AB game modes. I haven't had a chance to re-roll this yet. I will eventually, but the fact I got a Brilliant on her is better than nothing, and it's rolled up to a 1% versus the 1.2 that Jean has. So Jean does have a better CTP on her, which is why I'm saying it's probably pretty close. I score more with Jean, so I'm going to use the character I score more with. All right, let's talk about who I'm using as far as team up goes with the two characters, why I'm doing it, and other things to consider when building your teams for today. So let's go to Alliance Battle, Legendary. So here is my opinion for the best team for Luna Snow. I consider this to be the meta team for Luna. I like to use the new Shuri uniform. It gives 35% all attack, and she has her passive, which is now 55% damage dealt, which I personally consider to be the best support skill in the game. White Fox is an absolute must. She only affects allies with leadership, but she gives them 65% damage dealt, which we just talked about being one of the best. And if you go to Luna's details page, you'll see a shield icon. Clicking the shield icon, you'll see it says leadership. So if they don't have the shield icon, White Fox does nothing for them. For Luna Snow, it helps Luna Snow, so absolutely use White Fox. But there's more. Wait, there's more. I not only give her the insight, so we have at least an insight character on the team, but her uniform, Lifestyle Series 2, gives some added bonuses under uniform effects. So superhero allies are getting increased basic all attacks by 15, they're getting 10% chain hit damage, and they're getting ignore targets dodge rate by 30% as well. So all around, really solid team. Now, what are alternates? Obviously, you can use any support character in the game that you want to. Specifically for Misty Knight, specifically for Luna Snow, leadership with Misty Knight, apparently a lot of people have had great success using Misty Knight. What she does is 60% cold damage leadership. I feel like the damage dealt is better, and with my experimentation, I tend to do better. But obviously, Misty Knight is a good option. Nick Fury is a good option. Wave is a good option. And Shuri is a good option. In my opinion, though, and from my experimentation, I score the most with Shuri's leadership. Again, always experiment. Find out what works best for you. Do at least 5 runs with different teams. Really go through them to find out what's going to work best for you. And as I'd already mentioned, I had moved her striker to Thor, but typically I'll have like Spider-Man on her or something for that instinct match. I take my 2 characters, Black Widow and Thor, and move them around between characters because everybody on my Discord server kept telling me I was missing out on AB if I don't use these 2 strikers. They were right. I score more by moving them around. Now, my Jean Grey team, right? So we have Jean Grey, and in the leadership position, what I'll typically do is I will use Ghost Panther, and we'll talk about why in a second. And then for support, Dazzler. Now, there are other options, as always, and there's other people to consider. So, for example, there is Black Cat, right? Black Cat with her Winter Criminal seasonal uniform. She actually has a really, really solid increase, 65%, ignore dodge, and I think she has, yeah, so all allies are getting the debuff. That's not really helping you in AB. I think she actually has something specific on the Winter Criminal uniform as well, if I remember. Uniform, no, that's a self buff. Okay, so it's just the leadership part, but that 65% is a nice little buff. I personally feel like this with Ghost Panther, 30% increased fire damage. Critical rate increase doesn't really matter because I'm capped on my crit rate. I don't think it goes over. I could be wrong. But he also gives all allies 50% fire damage. So as a lead / support, he's doing 80% increased fire damage. And we just talked about elemental damage being better in ABL from what I've observed. So there's 80% extra fire damage. And he's doing 45% damage dealt just by being on the team. So in my opinion, that makes him optimal for Jean using his leadership. He also has the insight, so he's my insight character on this team. Dazzler has 65% damage dealt to for mutant allies, right? So increased damage dealt by 65% and ignore targets dodge rate by 70%, which is always helpful because if they dodge, they don't get any damage for the damage dealt to improve it. But mutant allies, if you go to Jean here, you go to all, you can go to details and you can see here under allies, it says mutant. The easier way to see that is when you click on her icon here with the little question mark, you see this icon with just a little red X, and if you hover over, that's mutant. So that means Dazzler works for her. To me, I consider this to be the meta team for today, and I consider it to be better than that Luna Snow team because of what I've observed on my account. Other really good options, if it's not Jean or Luna, I think Magneto is going to be your next best bet. Magneto specifically with his Krakoan Winter seasonal uniform with Rage does a phenomenal job, but you can pretty much use any of your meta characters today. There's tons of teams and ton of support options. I'm trying to show you why I'm picking what I'm picking, so when you choose to build your own team or consider a different team, you know why those decisions are being made, and then you can be informed to make your own decisions as well. So, anyway, hopefully that was helpful. May your ABL scores be as high as possible, and I will catch you in the next one.